Hi, I'm Mr. Miyagi, and this is Mr. Miyagi's Workshop. I hope you're 6 feet away from that screen. We're social distancing here. Ah, just kidding. Anyway, I had a gentleman email me about the Sportster front end. He's going to put a Dana front end on his XS. It was the gentleman that was talking about doing the shovel head, and he was asking whether I could make him up a stem that would be the right length. Well, I got thinking about it, and I don't want to get into doing a lot of production stuff, but I did come up with an easier way for you guys to extend this stem without a lot of machining involved. So basically what I came up with is a longer bolt. This is the stock bolt. A longer bolt. This is 1.5 inches long one. The stock is 1 inch. Where you'll need the flat washer. This is 1.5 inches by about an 1/8 inch thick and with a 5/8 hole in it. This should have come on the front end, hopefully. And then you'll need a 1 inch by about a 7 16 spacer. I made this one and it's threaded to the 5/8 by 18 thread on here. So it can screw right on there. If you don't have the capability of the 5/8 tap, which I happen to have by 18, what I did do is I went down to the hardware store, and for under $5 easily, I bought a 1.5 inch by 5/8 by 18 bolt and a spacer that's 1 inch in diameter and basically measures out to 7/16, which is about, it'll have on there, it's a Chinese spacer you can get, but it has 1/2 inch on there, but it's actually undersized. It was what you really need. But it also is kind of nice. It has a set screw on it. Now this is set for 1/2 inch diameter. Now we're going to have to drill that out to 5/8. If you don't have a 5/8 drill, you might want to go to your local Harbor Freight and get one of these step drills. You can get most of it drilled out with that. You're going to have to do a little bit of filing, but you want to make sure that this hole is drilled out, is dead center. But this is going to have to be able to slide into that triple tree there. So when you clamp down, everything tightens up. So let's see what we got going on here. Oh, well, actually what I need is a complete frame. Well, I don't, I got a partial. So what we're going to do is that we're going to slip in the triple tree. Now you'll note that this one fits pretty good, and the reason why is, let me flip this over. I cut off a proportion of the stock frame that was on there around the lip area. And basically what I did is, if you measure from the bottom of where this race fits, right here, where it fits, and measure up a 1/2 inch and mark that and cut that off, I went a little bit further. You're going to end up having plenty of coverage for that race. And one of the other things you might want to do inside here before you put the race on is the notch. Take a round rat tail file and file at an angle in there, so if you ever have to remove the race, it'll come out easy. But once you get that cut down, it makes it so much easier to stay with the stock length on stem on the triple tree. So if you've watched how to put a sporty front end on, the sporty and the Dana and even the wide glides front ends are basically the same thing. You can see how this slips over, boom, boom. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to fill in the gap. You know what I'm talking about? What I'm talking about is this gap right in here, this distance in here. That's what the spacer will do. It'll fill in that area, but you don't want to go completely to the top of that to fit up there, because you want everything to be able to squeeze together and to tighten up. And then it's locked off by the back screw that goes through the top triple tree clamp. So, like what I've said is, what I did is you want to put on your flat washer. Now I made up this one that just screws right on there. And then the triple tree goes on, upper triple tree clamp. This all screws down in there. Now what that does is, now that you have the stem that goes partly through, and you have the upper part that goes partly through, and then you have a longer bolt that goes down in the neck. So you're capturing everything so that this thing is a solid unit. Now, I suppose what you can do is that on the stock Harley, you could remove the stem, put a spacer under there, and make a taller spacer at this end. I think that I would probably stay with trimming off that way. It's keeping everything more contained and stuff. The problem with going a little longer, you're going to make sure you have to have a longer bolt. And there, what you could do, you could get like a 2-inch long bolt, screw this down in, and then have a capturing nut that would come down and tighten up. So, but that might not look quite as good as you'd want it to. Anyway, let's drill out the other one and we'll set it up and see how that works. Alrighty, so what I've done is I put in a step drill. Okay, once you get it to one side, you're going to have to turn it over and come from the other side. Now what you're going to find is that you're going to have a little bit of a lip left in there that you're going to have to hand file out with rat tail file, and then just hand file it till you get it smoothed out. Okay, now that we've got it filed out in the inside there, we can use that in installing in the triple tree. Okay, the simple thing now that we've got the spacer made up, you just slide it all together and tighten it up on the stem. And now you have this covered up. Now the back bolt right here is going to have to be tightened up, but that's after everything's all lined up, the forks and everything. So anywho, that I hope has made it a little bit easier. Yeah, there's a little bit more work to it for cutting off this section down here, but I think you'll be a lot happier with the way the thing all sets together. One thing you want to do, if it does have the dust covers, you definitely want to put those on top and bottom. It just helps keep the water out when you apply the grease on that. So it's not going to raise it that much more. I mean, it's just slightly, but it makes a little neater finish. It covers up the edges of the bearings. Now these races will stick up a bit. If you cut the one down here a little longer, it'll be fine. Just as long as you have clearance for that triple tree to move in there. The top one, they stick up. That's the way they are. There'll be the fatter one for the bottom and a narrower one for the top. And that should help you out quite a bit there. So now you'll have a little bit more coverage on the triple tree upper part here. And you can see how much that covers up in there. So when that neck does slide up in there, you've got full coverage. And that's what you're going for. And with this literally screwing in, probably over an inch in there, or right around an inch, it's going to be structurally fairly strong. And that was my main point. Yeah, you can go through the process of having a whole new stem made. And like I said, I don't want to get into doing a lot of production on this stuff. But that's why I came up with this other way. If you do have a way of getting a 1 inch, I prefer to have the screw-on style other than the slide-on. It seems like you'd have a little bit more, structurally it would be a little bit stronger. There's one or two ways you could do this. If you wanted to use the set screw, you're either going to have to shave off a bit off of that set screw so that it fits below that surface of the outer surface. Or another thing you could do, when you get this down in place on your bolt itself, you can set that, and that'll mark it, and then drill a hole so that it would accept that 1/4 inch screw in there, set screw, and make sure that it was beyond. Then it would be all firmed up, so that when you screwed this in, this would be one tight unit. So with it all tightened down, you're going to have a great little unit there. Like I said, under $5, and some time for cutting off that lower section, trimming off that lower lip a little bit. But you want to definitely leave enough for that race to sit in. And like I said, you want to measure up from the bottom where that race hits and up and mark it about 1/2 inch, and mark that and take that off. I used a Sawzall to cut mine off with, and then came back with a little grinder and smoothed everything up. Well, I hope that helped on a cheap and easy way of lengthening your stock Harley stem so that'll work on an XS650. If there's any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below, or send them to my email at tmiyagi@hotmail.com. One thing I do want to ask you guys to do, I know you're sending me a lot of questions, but could you give me a little bit more information on what your question is? I get some that I'm not real sure where we're going here. I need a little bit more information. My wife does that to me all the time. I need more information. But anyway, so if you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that ringy-dingy button, and I'll see you on the road, hopefully. Wearing your mask, I bet. Yeah. So take care out there. Stay safe. This is Mr. Miyagi signing off.